Now I face out, I hold out, I reach out to the Conference Championship. Pray the RNG to now go my way. Can you stall me out? Can you time me out? Can you show me how to enjoy this game again? And let peace be with my soul. Hey Agaho guys, it is the second week of the playoffs here in GBA Season 6, and that means it is the Conference Championship round, and we are of course in the Johto Conference, because, you know, all Vine City's in Johto, and that's, yeah, we're always going to be in the Johto Conference, and that's just kind of how things work. Anyway, so last week went as I could not have drawn it up any better than it actually went down, with the Boss God, Rock Polish, Head Smash being clicked multiple times, sweep at the end. It was glorious. I loved it. And not only that, on the other side of our conference bracket, we do have Fizzy Stardust taking out Chimpact and Philadelphia Scizors from playoff contention, thanks to a little bit of, you know, light blue magic? Sure, light blue magic going on. And this was my preferred matchup for multiple reasons. First and foremost, it means that unless we want to bring Mega Proto Man, we get to play on Pokemon X, and we're not bringing Mega Gallade, so we're going to get to play on X once again, boys. I'm very pleased about that. Granted, also our last matchup against Fizz also ended up a little bit better than the match we had against Chimpact, so that works out pretty well. As well, we're going to see what Fizz has. Now, Fizz has a thing right there. It's called Volcanion. It gets lots of views, and it also myrtleizes our team because we don't have any switch-ins to A-Specs Fire Blast. We also have Porygon 2, Rhyperior, Salamence, Whimsicott, and Florges coming along for the ride, and that means we have not appearing Hawlucha, no Hawlucha this time, no Heliolisk, Zoroark, no Mega Scizor, which may mean no Defog, and no Kecleon. So here's what we have coming in here. Now, I'm darn well aware that I have no switch-in to a Specs Fire Blast, whether it be from Volcanion or from a Pyroar. So, how do we handle that? Well, that means that if we can't handle it defensively, then we gotta handle it offensively, don't we? So that is what the overall theme of this team is going to be, is things that are faster than Volcanion, that can offensively threaten it in some way. Now, not everyone's going to be able to do that, but I believe 5 of the 6 can, so I'll get to the top right guy right there last, as that was the last spot filled on the team. So, we wanted to bring a similar Greninja to last time, which was actually a physical Greninja, but I ended up switching it over to a purely special Greninja, because I decided, well, Dark Pulse and Rock Slide do about the same, and if I go Dark Pulse, you know, assuming the proper EV investment, and if I go Dark Pulse, then, you know, I don't have to worry about splitting my attacks. I get to run I get to run a minus attack nature instead of one of the minus defense natures, which, you know, there's things like Mega Scizor Bullet Punch, and actually Greninja can live a hit from Volcanion. I was actually toying with Assault Vest Greninja, by the way, being my only fire resist, but yeah. So we got Life Orb, because I figured if I'm gonna go Dark Pulse, I'm gonna go Life Orb. If I had gone physical with Rock Slide, I might have gone Expert Belt instead. I was thinking about Surf, because I brought Hydro Pump last time and it missed, but if I'm gonna go Life Orb, which I did, we're gonna go for the big guns and bring out Hydro Pump and just hope it lands. Either way, we're going to have U-turn, because initiative. That's actually another kind of a theme on this team. And in fact, I think everything on the left side of your screen right now has either Volt Switch or U-turn. So we got some momentum going on with this team as well. Actually, I guess leads us into Raptor, which has the big block letters of Choice Band, which means it gets the nuke stuff. This is going to be probably how we're going to have to try to take down Porygon 2, because we didn't bring Mega Gallade. I was kind of hoping, I assume last time P2 did not come because of Mega Gallade. P2 is an absolute beast and could probably beat Mega Gallade anyway, because that's just how good Porygon 2 is. We have the same actual speed on Staraptor and on Gliscor, which is above Timid Volcanion. Raptor is banded because we need, mostly, well, actually probably mostly for Porygon 2, because they gotta have something to do about it. Otherwise we're just gonna lose to it. So Brave Bird, U-turn, Close Combat, going to be the biggest hit against P2, being super effective. and then quick attack there. Close combat also with CB should be able to two-shot the Rhyperior if we can correct or bird spam, so that's something to keep in mind throughout the game. Gliscor was very great for us last time. He was pretty much what won us the game, or at least would have in the long run. For some reason I put the fact that he has ice coverage on there twice on the graphics, so ignore that. But we do have Earthquake and Ice Fang and Roost again. I made sure to up the speed a little bit because last time I think Fizz ran just enough speed on Volcanion to outspeed my base 70s for sure, and that ended up to be like 3 points below Gliscor. So this time I decided, you know what, nope, he might correct that mistake, so I gotta, you know, match his extra speed with more extra speed and make sure we are above a timid Volcanion, which actually didn't require that much EV investment. We still had a decent amount to throw in some other places, but we are max HP. This guy's EV spreads all over the place. He's got like 60 attack, a little bit of Spadef, like 30-ish I think, and then enough speed to get over timid Volcanion. The big change from last time, we had Protect originally. This time we have Swords Dance because I was not really able to hit Florges effectively. It wasn't able to hit me effectively either with Gliscor. But, you know, I needed a crit to break through it, so this way we've got Swords Dance, and potentially, depending on stuff and things, Swords Dance Gliscor could be a win condition. The plan was to set up a Mega Scizor, but that didn't get brought, so I'm sure Hawlucha was going to have Ice Punch. I think that's actually what the 60 attack was for, so that we could, at +2, KO Hawlucha with Ice Fang. So there is that. Magnezone is pretty much the same thing as last week. It is Scarf. It is just slightly above Mega Gallade in case he decides to speed creep down. And yeah, same moves. Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Flash Cannon, and HP Fire for Mega Scizor, trapping with Magnet Pull. Finally, we have missing in action since week 3 has been Claydol, because we have not needed this as a Rapid Spin, but we're still not taking the services of Rapid Spin. So we have Ground Ice Take 2 in the form of Earth Power and Ice Beam. And you might be wondering, Cooper, why did you bring hot garbage like Claydol? Well, first off, you're wrong. Claydol is lukewarm garbage. Things are gonna get plenty hot with Steam Eruption in this match. We don't need those accusations on our Reaverbot friend. But he is going to be bringing the heat with HP Fire, so we got 2 guys with HP Fire, and then Mega Scizor doesn't get brought, so that's kind of, oh well. That's some speed IVs that we kind of wasted, but oh well. We do have Toxic, because that's going to be our best play against Florges, and again, the theme of the team is things that outspeed Volcanion and can threaten it. And Claydol technically qualifies, being 5 base points faster than it. We probably did not need to run max speed, especially with HP Fire, but I did, so that was a possible goof, but whatever. We are at least going to be able to probably outspeed Scizor and probably outspeed Florges unless they get majorly invested. I doubt anything would want to speed creep down that low, but you know, the important thing is we should be able to outpace Volcanion. If it ends up to be a timid Volcanion, it will actually be able to outspeed, but that's a lot of power he's going to be losing out on with the specs, which there's kind of no reason for him to not bring specs, so I'm reasonably convinced that he will bring Modest. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then Claydol might just get killed. I was willing to take that risk with Claydol, was not willing to take that risk with Raptor and with Gliscor. So we actually have another member of the team, because at this point we don't have Stealth Rock. Kind of need Stealth Rock, and in fact we're probably going to end up leading with Stealth Rock, because the only defogger I see right there is Salamence, which probably doesn't have defog. It could. He's brought it before, but so we do have speaking of Salamence, we do have an Unaware Clefable, which is kind of here for Salamence. Kind of. I did actually bring it. The main thing it's here for, though, is to set up Stealth Rock. So, mostly physically defensive. I believe it's bold. Yeah, it's bold. And then just a smidge of special defense, because we're not really going to be taking 2 Volcanion hits anyway. So, just a little bit to maybe take 1 from full. As far as the attacks, I kind of hate it. I bounced between Clefable and Empoleon for quite a while. In the end, I went with Clefable. And I didn't want to go with Clefable because it's kind of an easy drop-in for Mega Scizor, and I don't really want to be setting up I don't want my rocker to be something that is an easy drop-in for his defogger. But then I was thinking, well, Fable doesn't have to be a free drop-in for his Defogger because it does get Fire Blast. So if I can either predict the drop-in of Mega Scizor, or even just have enough HP to tank the Bullet Punch, or I guess if he brings Iron Head. I don't think he would, because he'd probably really want Bullet Punch because of things like Raptor. And then I don't really think he'd need to have Defog, and I don't think he'd want to dedicate 2 spots to steal coverage, but anyway, so we do have Fire Blast, which, unless he is a very special defensive one, should roast him in 1 hit. We're gonna have T-Bolt because, yeah, again, Volcanion exists. Clefable should be the only member of the team who does not outspeed Volcanion. We still gotta have something to do to it, so it, you know, we can at least, I don't know, at least predict it to come in, I don't know, something like that. Then we got Moonlight, which we have to have Moonlight because of having Unaware. And yeah, that is pretty much the team. So a little more of an offensive lean than we usually do, but hey, I can't handle Volcanion defensively. I can, in like the things that I can handle defensively, I feel like I could handle well enough without needing to invest. Like Gliscor has 4 defense EVs, so I feel gonna handle Mega Scizor and maybe Hawlucha if it doesn't pack Ice Punch decently well. Claydol's also here is a pretty decent switch into Rhyperior as it does resist its stab. So, you know, we're just kind of going to be trying to take advantage of natural bulk on guys and try to get some offensive, maybe momentum with our Volt Tourney guys over there on the left. So that's going to be the team. Let us see how it fares. So with a probable lack of defog, it would be wise to get Stealth Rock up from the first turn of the game. That's exactly what we're going to do. Lead out with Fable and click Stealth Rock and kind of hope we don't get taunted. So what's he going to do? He's going to Stun Spore instead, which is going to miss. So 2 games in a row, Clefable avoids a paralysis-inducing move on the very first turn of the game. And the rocks are now up, and hopefully they are to stay up for the duration of the game. But I'm a little concerned about Encore. I'd like to stay in Fire Blast, but I'm thinking maybe Encore, and I don't really want to get Fable paralyzed anyway. It's the slowest member of the team, but we do have a guy who is immune to paralysis, so I'm going to switch into him, and he might be able to threaten out Whimsicott as well. So we are going to go into Magnezone to block that Stun Spore with, you know, the electric typing, of course. Changing mechanics, and we're actually going to double back into Clefable here. This is mostly to scout for hidden power ground on Whimsicott, which would be, you know, potentially spooky to go for if he, you know, thought I was actually going to go through with a Flash Cannon. But if he didn't think I was going to go through with a Flash Cannon, that would have made a lot of sense why he switched into P2 and traced Magnet Pull. So I was very glad that we went ahead and had the switch programmed in to get back into Fable and escape that Magnet Pull. Because otherwise that would have been a dead Magnezone and minimal damage on Porygon 2. But we do confirm Trace. We've gotten all the damage that's been dealt so far, which is just 2 rock switch-ins. So far it's not too bad, but the sheer existence of P2 is kind of bad in and of itself. So he switches out because, you know, Fable, I guess, could carry Toxic, and he doesn't know whether or not I'm Unaware or Magic Guard just yet. So I'm actually going to go back into Magnezone because it's kind of actually my best Porygon 2 switch-in. It does resist Bolt Beam as well as like a Tri-Attack. So we're back in this situation, and here I think I'm just going to Volt Switch. If P2 wants to come back in, at least I'll get a little bit of damage on it, and, you know, then I can maybe go into Raptor or somebody. So he instead wants to set up Tailwind, and if he goes into Rhyperior at any time, then I'm okay going into Claydol. Another reason we need to put Claydol on this team. So we get a free drop here, which is kind of a convenience, as we do see the Tailwind come up, and that definitely raises some red flags of Specs Volcanion is going to be a terror under Tailwind. What we're going to do here is actually just get Gliscor in and, you know, kind of have a low-ish special defense mon in to maybe make Whimsicott stay in. That's kind of the MO here. We also get Toxic Orb up for free, which was the main intention here. I have no intention of staying in. It was just to get the Toxic Orb up and kind of goad Whimsicott, like, please Whimsicott, stay in as long as possible, because I would much rather Whimsicott utilize its own Tailwinds. I've used Tailwind Whimsicott in the GBA before. You know, you want to pass that Tailwind off to somebody else who can use it better, like, you know, Specs Volcanion. So, he does Leech Seed, he does confirm that we are Unaware, and here I could Fire Blast, which would deal mad damage to Whimsicott, but why would he really stay in? Because he's got Tailwind up, and he can do some crazy stuff, and I need to not let Volcanion get in for free. it's going to be a much bigger threat to do that. So we're going to T-Bolt here, and thankfully Volcanion does indeed come in, and we're going to T-Bolt it. That does it like over half, so because he took rocks and then he took down to red. Unfortunately, it looks like that is going to be above a switch in of rocks with that Leech Seed recovery being passed in there, and you know, if I had lefties, I might actually have a chance to live this, having half that HP that I took from Leech Seed back, but it's not the case, so we're not going to be able to survive it. But he also has to land the Steam Eruption, so he does. So, you know, if he didn't land it, then, you know, we would have a near full HP Clefable. I guess we'd have about a 75% HP Clefable, and we went and taken Leech Seed damage, so, you know, risk versus reward. And yeah, you know, when Fable did its job, it got up rocks, it put a big dent in this thing to where pretty much anything left on the team, everything left is going to outspeed it, barring Tailwind, and everything is going to be able to knock it out, because again, that was kind of our central idea coming in, is things that outspeed Volcanion with specs and can deal mad damage to it, and at this point, mad damage is going to be a KO. And if it leaves, it's going to come back in and be at, you know, pretty much no HP, barring like a water absorb from Greninja Hydro Pump, but even then it would get knocked out from Dark Pulse. So we're going to close combat here, actually, as that's going to knock out Volcanion from where it's at. And it's also going to 2-hit KO Rhyperior, so it seemed pretty okay to go for. And indeed, it does do a little over 50%. Rocks helping out just a bit, and leftovers canceling out, you know, the rocks damage plus. But looks like that's still going to be a 2-hit KO. However, I can't take the KO. If I take the KO, then Salamence is free to come in. I just lost Unaware Clefable, and it can Dragon Dance up, and it would still take a lot from the close combat if it's not Intimidate. It would still take almost 50%. It would take 25% from rocks. I could probably finagle it back with a, you know, Switch Raptor out, come back in for a Banded Quick Attack, but I cannot risk Raptor like that because it is the only way I'm going to be breaking through Porygon 2. So instead we just go into what is kind of our designated Rhyperior switch in, which is going to be Claydol, who would be able to knock it out from that range, I believe, with an Earth Power, barring like a especially defensive, probably Assault Vest at that point. So here we are, Claydol versus this guy, and we're just going to Toxic this thing. It may carry Heal Bell. If it does, then I'll force it to go for it. So we're going to apply Toxic on this guy and, you know, make him, you know, again, if it comes down to it, I have more Toxic than he has Heal Bell, so it'll be a whatever. Moonblast comes, and I believe that's actually the minimum possible damage with a 0 special attack Florges, so that definitely confirms that it is not going to be special attack at all. It still did almost half because this Claydol has no defense investment whatsoever. I believe maybe 4 HP, and Florges just has that high special attack. So we got Toxic on there. Rhyperior is now looking pretty low. So we're going to go ahead and go back into Magnezone here, as typically Florges cannot do too much to Magnezone. We're going to see a Heal Bell here, and you know, we've just seen Heal Bell and Moonblast, so could have a second attack, which it would kind of make sense to maybe HP Ground. I guess that would leave it walled by Wheezing, but eh. So what do we do here? I believe I just Volt Switch, and I think hard about, do I want to Volt Switch or not? I guess I already clicked the move, but I guess in hindsight here it's like, eh. If he stays in, I don't really have someone I want to drop in on it. So I guess, though, if he does carry HP Ground, you know, we are Scarf Magnezone, so we're able to outspeed that. Gliscor would be great if he did go HP Ground, and that would be great information to find out. If he does opt instead for just a Moonblast, then Gliscor should still be safe to take that. We did get the Poison Heal up earlier, so that's going to cover part of that Moonblast damage. As again, we did confirm it is min special attack, for, you know, not its nature obviously, but, you know. So instead he shows Synthesis, so that's going to be alright. Probably, I guess, you know, whatever. Be back at full HP. Being back at full HP is good. We are also at full HP with Gliscor, and that means we cannot Roost and shed our Flying typing to Scout for HP Ice. However, because of the min special attack and the minor amount of special defense investment that we have, we do know that HP Ice, if he does pack it, will not actually KO, and that means when I start roosting, it'll do under half. We'll have Poison Heal, yada yada yada, so that's going to be pretty alright. But I'm also thinking maybe he wants to just go right into P2, so I'm just going to Earthquake and gauge how much it does, and that doesn't do doesn't do too much. Looks like it did maybe about 25%. So we will definitely need some Swords Dances in order to take this thing on. We saw damage come in there, and thinking, I don't really want to go ahead and Roost right now, although I might go ahead and Roost now, as I was thinking, you know, he might Moonblast and then chain that into an HP Ice, because he knows HP Ice won't KO from full, to kind of like, you know, lure me into a false sense of security. So I believe I Roost here, just again to scout for HP Ice, in case he wanted to pull, you know, 1-2 Sucker Punch like that. And with not using HP Ice on that turn, that's going to make me think it does not have it. We haven't seen the 4th move yet. We've seen Heal Bell, Synthesis, and Moonblast only. So now I think I'm gaining a little bit of HP, mostly because of Poison Heal. So here I decide, alright, I'm going to go ahead and pop the Swords Dance. And you know, if he's intent to stay in, then I may as well go ahead and get the SD up and see where we can go from there. P2 may come in now, and that would be, you know, certainly, well, I've got to leave, and I didn't really get anything going on, and that is indeed exactly what happens, as he traces Poison Heal. And by the way, guys, I did think about again bringing Weezing with Toxic Spikes on this team, and one of the reasons I chose not to was because Porygon 2 tracing Poison Heal under Toxic Spikes? Are you kidding me? How do you kill that? How do you kill that? You gotta have like Choice Banded Mega Glade, and that's not even allowed. So I think here, like, is it worth it? He took a little bit of damage already from the Volt Switch or whatever it was, I believe. From Rock, I actually think it's all just rocks. Do I want to try to fire off a +2 Earthquake? Is it got to get him low enough to where stuff can KO? And I think the answer is going to be no. So I'm just going to end up to go back into Magnezone here. I know he's going to have Ice Beam, I just know it, because there's really no reason for him not to, obviously. It's a staple move on P2. And again, Magnezone is our designated P2 switch-in, as it does resist Bolt Beam, and it also resists Dry Attack. So we don't have any form of, passive recovery, so we're not going to, eventually P2 would win in this exchange. But yeah, P2 is going to be ridiculously hard to take down, because, basically I need a free drop into Staraptor to do it. And that can be arranged because eventually I'm doing more damage to him than he's doing to me. So that's going to be alright. We choose Flash Cannon here because of the chance for a special defense drop mostly. That seems to be more relevant than going for the extra 10 base power that that T-Bolt would provide. As well, Volcanion does come in, which would be a 4x Steel Resist. It's probably still going to get knocked out because of rocks, and it would have to take 2 anyway if it did switch in. So Rhyperior is still kicking around. It's not healthy, but it's or actually, it's still, that's right. We've already dropped in the CB close combat on it. So right here, I think is going to be a good turn for him to recover, because Flash Cannon would put him under half. He'd want to stay, above half if possible. So I think this is the turn to pull the trigger. I think Raptor will live an Ice Beam anyway, at least from full it will, which would be bad to, go down to recover, if he recovers up on the thing. But anyway, I think this is going to be the turn. We are going to go ahead and pull the trigger. We got to go into Raptor here. I have to make an offensive switch at some point if I'm going to have any hope of dealing with P2. So Raptor's going to come in, and he does indeed recover, which, I feel like was the correct play, if that sequence continued to play out. So, but we do get some pressure now with Raptor. Now, Raptor's not going to be KOing it from full, certainly, but it should be able to apply massive damage, and it's going to 2-hit KO, so he can't really, recover all day. It's going to be doing a little bit too much for him to just take me down with Recoil, as it should do round about 75%. Depending on his spread, we might actually survive an Ice Beam. So here comes Brave Bird, gets a nice chuffing Carpton on it. Here comes an Ice Beam, and indeed, Raptor, that extra HP I gave you, kind of kicks in pretty big here, as we are able to survive it with 23 HP. I think it probably would have survived it with like single digits anyway, without the investment. But here, I just got to keep going for it. If Ishii wants to come in, it will get 2-hit KO'd by Brave Bird from the range it's at, based on the amount of damage took from close combat. So he's going to take a little bit of Stealth Rock as well. And I'm hoping we survive this, but it does a little bit too much to Ishii in this case. And we don't survive this. But at least now it's got super low HP, and anything is going to be able to come in and KO it, from where it's at. So poor Rhyperior did not get to do anything this game. Might have just wanted to set up Stealth Rock, and wasn't able to accomplish even that. I don't think it's got to pull off a single move. and I don't see it pulling off a single move throughout the course of the game. So we lost Staraptor, but Staraptor, again, did what I needed it to do. Clefable did what I needed it to do with setting up Stealth Rock and getting a big hit on Volcanion. Staraptor did what I needed it to do, you know, put a major hole in this, put a major hole in P2, and, you know, that's what we needed. That's what we needed. So it's going to be Greninja here that we eventually decide on. Technically, anyone could come in and KO, so it's just who do I want out, you know, just generally neutrally. And I think it's going to be a fast guy who's going to outspeed his whole team. That's going to be able to switch moves, should be pretty good. So I believe I'm just going to end up to go for Ice Beam here. I guess I was debating between Dark Pulse if stuff might want to switch in, but there's kind of no reason to. Just go ahead and use the Death Fodder now. And I believe that's going to... I forget exactly what the score is right now. It's 4-4? Maybe. Anyway, no, that's actually our first KO, isn't it? Yeah. So Rhyperior finally goes down, but we have enough dents and, like, multiple things are dented severely. So it feels like we have a, you know, the score is not quite what's on the board. But anyway, I expect to see there's going to be Florges here, which might be a bit risky from Gunk Shot, but as I do show Life Orb, so I could very well be mixed. But this is still going to be Whimsicott, which can threaten me out with a Prankster Stun Spore that I definitely do not want to take because it's going to completely ruin Greninja. He could just, you know, say, well, you're going to switch, Cooper, because you're not going to want to take a Stun Spore. And he's right, I do want to switch because I don't want to take a Stun Spore. And that means we might see a Tailwind up instead. And, you know, whatever. You can also just, you know, if I try to get too cute, then we can do that. So we're not going to U-turn out, we're just going to hard switch because, you know, obviously Prankster. So we're going to go into Magnet Man again, take a Stun Spore, and he just Tailwinds, which is perfectly fine. And, you know, I felt like I kind of had to make a safe play right there, and yeah, the score, you can see we're technically down, having lost 2 guys, but several of his guys are injured severely. So it's going to be, if we can get Whimsicott out of the way, then we might possibly, and I guess we need some more damage on, not Elgium, that's the Pokemon. The nickname of the Florges is Elgin. So here, once again, the MO for Tailwind is I need Whimsicott to take as many Tailwind turns as possible for itself and not share them with anyone else. So I want Whimsicott to stay in as much as possible, and that means I actually don't want to KO this, even though I totally could. So that's why I clicked Thunderbolt there. Also, just in case P2 came in, I wanted the biggest damaging attack I had, because it's low on HP, but it's still a P2, and I still need to hit it as hard as possible. And especially now with that Leech Seed coming up, so you want to hit it as hard as possible. And like, I guess if it was a hard switch, it would do a KO anyway. But Florges is going to come in, going to take a little bit of rocks, going to take a pretty darn high amount of damage considering Florges' special defense from a Thunderbolt. I think Flash Cannon probably would have KO'd from that range. Well, would have gotten close. But anyway, so this thing's in, and I'm not super concerned with it, you know, being under Tailwind, as I'm pretty sure Gliscor should be alright against it, so we're going to switch that in, as he's going to go ahead and get himself back up to full life in case I keep going for T-Bolts. You know, he does have the Leech Seed applied, so Gliscor's pretty much back to full life as well. At this point, I am reasonably convinced he does not have HP Ice, so I am just going to set up a Swords Dance, and that way we'll actually be able to deal decent damage to this guy. And, you know, we'll go from there. Again, I said, you know, SD Gliscor was a possible win condition depending on stuff. I don't necessarily know that it's going to be, but I'm going to go for Swords Dance regardless, as that will get us to the point where we can KO P2 with Earthquake. He actually has Psychic, and I'm not really sure why he clicked it there. It might have been a misclick for all I know. But, you know, presumably the coverage there for Wheezing, of course. But because that was unstab and didn't deal as much as a Moonblast, I feel free to go for a Swords Dance again, so I'm going to do so. And Moonblast is going to come deal some decent damage, but we will be able to tank through it with a Roost, and we're going to be able to gain back further than, you know, where we were. Certainly we're at 82 right now. So we're just going to Roost, and it's going to get us back after Moonblast comes, and after Poison Heal comes, we're going to end up to regain over 20 HP, about 22 HP I think it is, and Earthquake comes, and we actually get a crit for the second game in a row against Fizz, and I think it mattered, even though my calc with my +4 Gliscor against the Bold Max said it still had a chance to KO, so like a very low, like one of the top 2 rolls probably, so crit probably mattered there. I don't think Florges is going to be winning that 1v1 anyway, but, you know, regardless of the situation, Whimsicott's now here. And as much as I love to, you know, take this KO with SD Gliscor at +4, I can't do it, because if he Tailwinds, then he gets Volcanion turns, and I lose. So, you know, I can't allow the suicidal Tailwind. I have to at least, you know, I can't let the free drop happen. I have to at least, you know, make him waste the turn right here, casting it, and then, you know, waste the turn switching into Volcanion, which he won't be able to do if I had Magnezone out. So, what are we going to do here? I believe we're just going to actually hard switch into this guy, as I don't want to take necessarily take a Moonblast, as he would outspeed due to the Tailwind, and that might actually KO. We see his Life Orb, so they actually probably had a decent chance to KO, being Stab and Life Orb. Claydol's able to hang on, albeit barely, with 8 HP, and then get back up to 16 with lefties. And here, I mess up. There was really no reason for me to go Ice Beam. I could have probably killed it with Earth Power, and Earth Power probably would have killed this P2. I could have also just gone back into Magnezone, which with Scarf would have outsped it under Tailwind, and now he has a Tailwind up. He has one more turn of Tailwind, and Porygon 2 getting a Recover up and undoing Staraptor's work was a loss condition, and I kind of choked it away right there. I should have clicked Earth Power. There was really not much of a reason to do otherwise. If Mince comes in, I mean, I switch it up to, you know, Ice Beam on the next turn and not allow him free DD. But I messed up. Porygon 2 got a Recover up there. You know, I spent a long time there looking over my teams, like, is there anything I can do? Nope. I don't believe there is. So he's just gonna recover and hit, recover and hit, and hoping for a crit, hoping for a Spadef drop. That's all we got. At this point, P2 is just gonna sweep from here on out, but, you know, we're not gonna click run or anything like that. This is the playoffs, and you're not technically not supposed to do that stuff anyway. So he's just gonna recover here, and you know, we need the Spadef drop or something. So here comes in the Flash Cannon, but wait, he doesn't recover. He just takes the KO, and that's not the best odds of a KO. But hey, the door's open. I gotta go for it. Life Orb, Hydro Pump, please Greninja come through, and Greninja comes through. And I did not think we were going to be taking that P2 knockout, and the door was left open just a crack, and Ninja's able to sneak in and get a KO that when that recover came up, I thought we lost the game on the spot right there, and now we have a chance. Time is dwindling down though, and will become a factor, but Whimsicott's going to come in here, and presumably it's going to be, you know, again, one final use of Tailwind, and I need to not, you know, take the bait and, you know, let him get a suicidal Tailwind off. I can't do that. Unfortunately, he can take himself out with a Life Orb Moonblast here. We did see Life Orb earlier. So I am actually just going to click Roost, and, you know, again, the intent is to make him waste as many turns of Tailwind as possible. And, you know, he had to spend one to cast it, and then one to kill himself off with Roost. So he will actually have 2 more turns of double speed Volcanion. So we're going to sack off Claydol here. Steam Eruption does connect and take out Claydol. And here, I'm going to have to explain this, and I'm probably going to end up having to explain it in the post wrap up. So yeah, what we're going to end up to do here is, you know, I'm not going to pretend it's otherwise. It is sort of kind of timer stall out to 0. I will explain the process behind this and why I decided to do it in the post, but all you need to know for right now is that battle timer hit 0, and we are going to pick up the 2-2, again, timeout win, and advance to the League Championships. Alright, so before we begin any kind of celebration or anything like that, gotta take a few minutes here and explain what was going on in the last minute or so of the game. It's probably not going to be enough to assuage some of you who are just going to be upset regardless, but maybe some of you will be okay with my explanation of what went down. So, you see the official score on your screen right there, which is Greninja and Gliscor having a pretty decent amount of HP left, Volcanion being almost dead, and Mince being in the back at 100%. So, what happened there in the last minute is I saw, you know, if we keep playing at the pace we're going to play, just with move animations and everything, the game is going to end up with him, you know, having, you know, he's gonna be able to knock out something probably with Steam Eruption, and then you know, time will probably run out on that turn and he'll win 2-0 or 2-1 rather. So I was, running through the scenarios at hyper speed in my head. It's like, I'm pretty sure if this goes, if time was not a factor, that I would be able to pull this out. And there's no actual rule against timer stalling. It's not explicitly forbidden. It's still very much bad manners. But let me explain why I did it, which is going to be, we're going to pop this up right here, which is going to be this +3 turn situation. If you don't know, in the Pokemon trading card game, once time is called, unlike the VGC and other stuff, there are 3 further turns. So whoever's turn it is, they finish their turn, their opponent gets a turn, that player gets 1 more turn, and then the opponent gets 1 further turn. So there are, you finish the current turn, and there's 3 more. So that has nothing really to do with the video game, but it's, another aspect of Pokemon that I felt like bringing up. So if we had this +3 turn scenario, here's how I envisioned it would go down. I would switch into Gliscor, and Steam Eruption would take the KO, and on that turn, Tailwind peters out. So Greninja's now going to be faster than both things that are left. Dark Pulse takes out Volcanion, Ice Beam takes out Salamence, even if it's Yache Berry because of the rocks damage. It's like 180% minimum, I think, to Mince. Unless, I guess, if it was super special defensive, and even though, then probably not. The main thing was Mince Scarfed. I was pretty sure, and based on the way he had played up to that point, I did not think it was Scarfed. But when I decided to, you know what, I'm just going to let the timer run out. I'm going to have it be 2-2 in my favor, and then we'll try to figure this out after the fact. Basically, if Mince had been Scarfed, it would have been able to take out Greninja, and I would have just, even though the game said I won in the field, I would have scooped a Fizz because of that. I wanted it to be, it was going to be controversial no matter what happened there at the end. There were, of course, several turns where, I went down to single digits on the timer at least twice. I don't know how many times he did, but there were certainly a couple of times where he took quite a while thinking as well, and that's fine. You're allowed the full length of time if you want it. The game says how much time you're allowed to take on a move, and you're within your right to take that much time on your move if you think it's that crucial to the game. You don't want to make a mistake. I would much rather take a long time to make the correct play than to hastily rush into a misplay, and I would expect my opponents would want to do the same. So anyway, so that was the scenario I had in my mind, is that if this plays out in an untimed situation, I'm able to win, and the only way that he's therefore going to be able to win is on the timer, and that's just going to cause potentially even more controversy. I don't want anyone accused of timer stalling except for me, because I can take that heat, because we're ice type. We can exude icy auras and reduce the heat damage that we take a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, so I asked him after the game if it was Scarfed or not. It was Life Orb DD, so it had no chance to live an Ice Beam. So it definitely looked like, I made sure to confirm with Fizz that, he was okay, with the result, that he agreed that the in-game scenario, it was a certain victory for me if it was untimed. And, again, that's not necessarily how the game is supposed to be played, it's just, but, we had the capacity to win on the field and put the onus of do I scoop or not on myself, and because it looked like the scenario that was in my mind there in the last minute of the game was going to be what was going to come to fruition, so it would have been a 1-0 victory had we had extra time, a couple extra seconds here and there can really add up, and as it is, I think the team that would have, that's the point, right? The team that would have won eventually did get the win on the field. It wasn't in the fashion that we would have liked, but I don't know. Hopefully some of you agree that it was okay to do that and have us advance because we would have won on time. Some of you may disagree. That's fine. If you do disagree, I guess I might like to hear why. But because comments are good, I like getting comments. But anyway, so that is the way it ended up. But let us not. Hopefully this does not sour how good this game was. There were some great predictions. The P2 drop in on the recover, I thought I was completely finished. And then or the tailwind rather to recover up, not clicking Earth Power there, and then that was a misplay, and then him just going for 2 Ice Beams in a row ended up to be a misplay. So one misplay for another, and yeah, as it ended up, Ninja was able to come through in the end and would have been able to I guess in the end go 3-0 this game, but he only ends up getting credited for the for the 1 KO on P2, which was absolutely gigantic. So, yeah, that is the way it's going to end up. And Pokemon of the game, I really don't know. So I'm just going to pop up 5 of the 6 guys. Claydol came close to, if we had Earth Power, would have been great. The Ice Beam play almost cost us the game. Just really didn't get a chance to do too awfully much because of the Florges having Heal Bell. So I didn't throw Claydol on there, but I think he was a worthy addition to the squad this time. I think he did fit the theme of the team very well. He was going to be a pretty alright Rhyperior switch in, but everyone else, they did their job. Fable got up rocks to put a dent in Volcanion. Staraptor, unfortunately kind of had its work undone by the goof at the end. Gliscor was just super resilient. I really thought he would over-prep for Gliscor. I guess he was actually a little more prepped for Wheezing, more so, but I was definitely expecting HP Ice. I was scouting HP Ice the whole game, doing stuff like that, even scouting HP Ground with Magnezone. Scarf Zone was able to, I guess partly because of Claydol, I felt much more okay going for Volt Switch if Rhyperior did come in, because Claydol was a pretty decent switch into it. And then, of course, Greninja coming in. I don't know how much special defense his P2 had. If it was, there's a very good chance it was a roll. If he was like fully physically defensive, I think it was 100%, assuming, of course, Hydro Pump connected. I was just very happy that I did decide to go with the big guns. If I had gone Expert Belt with Surf, which was my other plan to hit the Rhyperior pretty much only in the physical variant, I am quite confident we would not have won this game. But we decided to bring Life Orb Hydro Pump, and that was probably the key play of the game, but it was just such a team effort that I couldn't give it to any one specific guy. And yeah, I think this is a pretty great game. Obviously went the whole length of time, and generally whenever we time out, it's gonna be a fun time. And I can't help but laugh that it ends up to be the same score even that we timed out in the regular season. And once again, we just refuse to lose in a in a timeout situation, and especially in a even no differential exchanged timeout situation. That just seems to be our knack. So that means, of course, amazing game by Fizz. I was so glad it got to be Fizz that I played this. I really wanted to play Fizz again. Was very glad that I got to, and it was a great one. It was a great one. I hate that it ended up, the way that it did with how the winner got decided, but I feel like if there was ever a time to justify timer stall, I think this would be it. So, like I said, it was going to be controversial either way, so at least we'll slurp up the controversy like Kirby over here, and we will deal with it. So, with that, we are still not done this season. I keep thinking every week, oh, we're going to lose. I can go ahead and start on the postseason video this week. It'll all be well and good. But no, next week is definitely going to be the last game, as it is time for the league championships. And you can see the other side of the bracket now, as we kind of now have to care about who we're going to be going up against. And the finals, as you guys knew already, you might have already seen the game, was Envy versus George, Sceptile MC, Chimp Chargers versus Arcaniners. Either way, it's going to be a California team. And who is it going to be? Well, I'm flashing the spoiler warning right now. We are going to go ahead and spoil it, so if you haven't gone and seen that game yet, definitely click off this video. You can come back if you want. There's probably not much stuff that we're going to say. But definitely go and watch that right now. So this is your final warning for spoilers. And the winner of the game in the Johto Conference Championship, the Johto Conference Champion, is Sceptile MC, making back-to-back playoff league championship game appearances. And that worked out pretty well for A-Drive last year, right? Made it to the championship in Season 4, and then made it back in Season 5 and took it home. So, yeah, George's team has a lot of things that got traded away from other teams that I didn't have to face a second time, like Manaphy from Geo. I didn't have to face that a second time in the regular season. I was rather glad for that. Now I got to face it. Tom traded away Mamoswine, picked up Melodic instead, and I was kind of glad to not face Mamoswine. now I gotta face it. So I'll run down his team right quick. We have Manaphy and Mamoswine, you know, headlining it. Infernape, who is ridiculously good. Fortress to set up all sorts of hazards and stuff. Snorlax is good. Gardevoir, one of these guys is going to draft Gardevoir. Spiritomb, Electabuzz, Mega Beedrill, which you know, gave him some free points to get some of those other higher tiered up guys who weren't Megas. Got to go with the mascot Sceptile and the franchise, I believe, Nidoqueen. So definitely a super stacked team. Got some powerful guys, and it is definitely not going to be easy. If you guys are doing Pick'em Crew, I would not advise. I would at least advise not. Do I do quadrupling down? I don't know. I probably wouldn't bet on us, but you know, you might want to. We're definitely going to give it our all because either way, this is the last game of the year. Unfortunately, it has to be played on Oris because he might bring Mega Beedrill, but oh well. So there, yeah, that's gonna be that. We have now made it. You know, it was great to just even make it to the playoffs. You know, that was a great honor, and then making it to the conference championship, that was great. And then to win the conference championship, you know, we can officially, if nothing else, claim the title of Johto Conference Championship. You know, regardless of what happens in this next game, you know, that's a title we have already won, but we got another title that we're going to have a chance to win in the next week, and George is definitely going to be Ferocious team to face, and yeah, we might have to pull out all the stops. You know, maybe we'll find some stuff to do. Nothing, as you guys know, with us, nothing is off limits for, we will use the entire extent of our Pokemon's move pools and do everything we can to see if we can bring home this win. But if we don't, then hey, it's been an amazing season regardless, and you know, I'm pretty alright with what we have done so far. But you know, we got one more game, only one more game, and then we can finally start off-season stuff and maybe play some GBA D&D. It's gonna be great. But we gotta focus our attention for right now on San Francisco. So once again, thank you so much, Fizz. I'm sorry I kind of bad manners you, but I think you're okay with it. I think you're okay with it. So we had friendly handshakes and whatnot after the game. We had that amazing game that was played that went out before this one. If you guys didn't watch it because you were watching this video late, I definitely encourage you to go and watch that because it's freaking hilarious, and I rather enjoyed every bit about it. Didn't think that this game would actually be more entertaining than that one, but I think it probably ended up to be. So definitely, you guys in the comments also please go over to Fizz's video and show him a lot of love and support. And yeah, just please go and do that. Fizz is awesome, very entertaining. Go watch his, is it PPL? Whatever. Go watch his games there too. Fizz is great. So yeah, we'll see you guys probably next week, unless we end up to take another week off for whatever reason. I know the championship game last year did not get played, or at least an extra week or two. But we'll see. You know, we're gonna make sure both sides are very well prepared for this last game of the season, so nobody else is waiting on the result of this one. It's just me and baby George, and I will see you guys probably next week for that. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting us this whole season, or at least watching and leaving whatever sort of comments you feel like leaving. That's perfectly fine. And yeah, hopefully we got the right people in the championship game in the end. Some of you will probably say we didn't, but that's Pokemon for you. So that being said, see you guys next time for one final GBA game on 6th Gen. Later days!